Yo, what's happening guys, King GBL here, and welcome back to some Go Battle League. Today we're going to be showcasing a very strong team in the Great League Catch Cup. Today I'm going to be running the ever mighty Dragonite in the lead, with Greedent as a safe swap, and with Daddy Cash in the back. This team is super strong, and I think if you do have a Dragonite that you caught from Grunts this season, of course they were in the Grunts, and of course they were in, I believe, Cliff for the entirety of the season, up until the Rocket event. I do recommend a Pokemon like Dragonite. It is super oppressive, and it can basically hang in against anything that's not Charm, or Dugong for that matter. If it was a Frostlass, it would definitely not be pretty, but you could probably Dragon Breath that thing down, especially if it is the Shadow Frostlass. Also, as you were seeing here, we do have a Skarmory in the opposite team, which you don't really want to stick in with either. I feel like Dragonite's doing super well into this meta. Basically everybody, including myself, is running Whiscash. Dragonite does fairly decently into that matchup. A lot of people are using things like Poliwrath and Annihilape. If the Annihilape is on Ice Punch, you can pretty much shield once, farm it the whole way down. You just do insane damage with this, and pretty much if they don't have a Charmer on the team, you can feel free to swap out, go for catches, get energy in Dragonite, and catch on different Pokemon, and try to maximize your energy and basically try to close with Dragonite where possible. In this first game, the opponent goes for the aggro swap, and I get for just enough damage here that one Body Slam will KO. Pretty much the opponent will need 2 Scalds. I think at this point it's probably not even quite enough, and that's basically going to be good games well played. Now, I know a lot of you guys do not necessarily have a Greedent, I know a lot of you guys don't necessarily have Dragonite, and I'm sure a lot of you guys don't necessarily have a Whiscash. That is why Catch Cup content is kind of dumb. So I hope you guys just kind of enjoy the content for what it is. It's just some gameplay in the Catch Cup if you don't have these particular Pokemon. Also, I guess we could have a bit of a chat about the Catch Cup as a whole, and we can sort of generalize, you know, the things that you're likely to see in this cup, and sort of try to come up with some ideas as to how you can core break teams, and how you can look to get some success. I done quite a lot of tanking yesterday. I tanked all the way to 2940. I finished off, I believe, plus 70 with this particular team. If you don't have Dragonite, Dragonair will be fine. If you don't have Greedent, something like Lickitung, Double probably is fine as well. If you don't have a Whiscash, I'm not too sure what you've been up to for the whole season, although I'm sure some of you already had a build. I don't really want to build another one, so I am sort of joking about that. If you're going to choose a third, you want something at the very least that can deal with steel types, if there are any, and is at the very least neutral or good against fairies, steels, and ice types. You need something that can sort of do well against those Pokemon in the back. That's why I went with Greedent, just super spammy. I got extremely lucky with Go Battle Day. I did manage to catch one with super good IVs, and yeah, definitely very spammy and quite decent in this cup. In this cup, I've seen, you know, I'm around Legend Elo. As I said, I tanked to about 2940. So in the Catch Cup, I've played battles between 2950 and 3100, basically, around that Elo range. The Pokemon I've seen have been just all over the place. It's more or less just the open Great League meta. I've seen a lot of Annihilapes, a lot of Poliwraths. I've seen Skarmories, Lanturns, Lickitungs, you name it, I've seen everything. Wigglytuffs, I've even seen Purified and Shadow Bastiodons. Pretty much nothing is off the table in this cup. You will see literally everything and anything. If you're around sort of Ace, Veteran, Expert, I would expect to see a lot of Community Day Pokemon, especially December Community Day. So expect to see a lot of Poliwraths, expect to see a lot of Chestnuts, which I've seen a few of today. You're going to see Decidueye every so often. So I think the best sort of plan in this cup is try to run pretty neutralish Pokemon. I think Dragonite's pretty neutral Pokemon across the board. Greedent, even though it takes super effective from counter, can do a lot of damage to things like Annihilape and Poliwrath. And Whiscash is just a very strong Pokemon. Even against some of its worst matchups, this Pokemon can do very well. So that's what I recommend. First of all, try to use a team that makes sense, that if you have something weak to grass in the front, you have some sort of answers in the back, right? Whether it be an ABB team, or like my team right here, which is an ABC team. I do think Pokemon like grass types, particular grasses like Trevenant, have the ability to core break quite a lot of teams. As I mentioned, the Skarmory Whiscash core is super common in this cup. People probably went out and built a Shadow Skarmory just to have this sort of team in the Catch Cup. If I was going to build any team, if I was needing to hit Legend still, and if I've got the extra Stardust, the team I would personally build would be Whiscash, Shadow or non-Shadow, doesn't matter, Dragonair, Shadow of course, and Skarmory non-Shadow if possible, and you could even Purify one and use Return on it. A fun fact, it's something I've wanted to showcase for a while, but Return Skarmory does about 44% to Lantern with the Return, so that could be an interesting one. I think those 3 Pokemon in particular could be very strong, so, you know, let me know in the comment section down below. Are you playing the Little Cup version of Catch Cup, Great League Catch Cup? What are you running? And, you know, generally, what are your thoughts on this league? Another Pokemon I forgot to mention is Dugong. It's a double Elite TM Pokemon, so you have to do an Elite Fast TM for Ice Shard, and Elite Charge TM for Icy Wind. It is super strong, though. The good thing about it is it beats Whiscash and Skarmory. It's one of the Pokemon that core break that team, and it's a team that I showcase, or it's a Pokemon I showcase a few weeks ago in the Open Great League, because that team is just absolutely everywhere. And of course, a lot of people will be building their first Shadow Dragonair this season. People like me are running Dragonite. And generally speaking, even things like Annihilate is not that bad. If you shield up a Shadow Ball, get off Icy Winds, or if you get an energy lead. I think Dugong is a very, very strong one. So I might even consider going, if I was trying to get Legend, I might even consider going like Whiscash, Skarmory, Dugong. I think that'll be a super strong team. Run it like an ABB style team, ABB weak to Lantern. I forgot to mention as well, Chargebug was in the December Community Day, which was the Com Day Classic. I did see a few of those today as well. So you do sort of want, if you're running an ABB, like your answer in the front, and Dugong as the swap, and Skarmory as the closer. Dugong can do very well into Chargebug as well. Anyway guys, hopping on into the battles, if you haven't already, go ahead and drop a like. A big thank you to our channel supporters and members, and everybody who's been donating on the streams and stuff. I have been streaming on YouTube this week. I want to say a big thank you to Boston, Daryl, and everybody who's been supporting. Daryl's gifted 25 memberships in the last 2 days. So if you guys haven't been here for a while, just check your comment section. You actually might have the membership badge, so feel free to check that if you want to. Anyway guys, we do in that battle, Gradient, too spammy, too good. And we're going to hop into the next one. Now sometimes what Whiscash likes to do, even though this is like a bad matchup for them, they like to stand in for the Scald. I never recommend throwing an alignment, but this thing will always insta-throw the Scald for the debuff. So I throw this move straight away, and because they shielded, I'm like, yep, you shield, I shield. They can start making this match close. It's a very busted Pokemon. Did they get the attack drop? Sorry, I've got my window very small. They go for a catch on like a tongue here. That's perfectly fine. And we're going to look to basically farm up a little bit. Now the really good thing about Gradient is that it's great against Lickitung. Lick's resisted, and Gradient is just an absolute spam machine. So we're going to stay in here for a while, farm up a little bit of extra energy, start going for CMP ties on Body Slam. The opponent is what I like to call an alignment Andy. An alignment Andy. Had I overfarmed, I would have got a freaking mud shot there. The opponent's just insta-throwing the move, ignoring timing. If you guys can just get your timing on point, people, you know, just under Legend Elo currently are not playing optimally. So I would say, like, just get your timing on point, play as smart as possible, and you have a really good chance of getting Legend. Body Slam coming through, that'll take them out, and we should be able to get off like 1 or 2 Body Slams on the Shadow Whiscash here. The Shadow Whiscash, it's kind of scary with an energy lead. We go for the Snipe here, and we end up CMPing that, which, you know, doesn't really matter. Of course we win CMP, that will take them out. And then comes the Skarmory in the back. Now, I wanted to go for Superpower. I realized it just wasn't going to happen. My HP is evaporating here. We are just going to throw off this move, get a little bit of chip damage, and we should be basically fine. Now, I have no reason to shield any move here. One Brave Bird does not KO, and if they Brave Bird, a Scald will take out, so like I have no reason to shield this move. Either way, I live it and get off the Scald and take them out, or I can live a Sky Attack and get off multiple moves, right? We get the attack drop, inconsequential here. We go for a CMP in the Mud Bomb, and at that point, this is going to be enough. So either way I would have done that, I would have won, because I got the debuff anyway, which means I live the move very comfortably. But you just have to read the situation there. If the opponent goes for Brave Bird and I shield, right, I can easily take them out. So it's really just not possible for them to go for Brave Bird in that situation. And like I said, I live it anyway. So the most logical play is to let the move go and look to throw a Scald. Good games. Now we have had some very good leads this video. I'm going to start showing some bad ones here towards the end. Togetic lead, of course we cannot stay in here, it's got Fairy Wind. And I'm thinking it might be on Dazzling Gleam as well. Now the opponent actually stays in to chip me. What I decide to do is just overfarm a little bit, and they come into Decadewey here on Razor Leaf. Very, very interesting here. We go for crunch number 1. 1 crunch does not KO, so I'm not going to beat this move. I could have baited the second one potentially. It's pretty unlikely that they just let the move go and completely get rid of their Decidueye. I go for a last second Body Slam, and you know, this is not going to KO, so this is kind of tricky here. So the opponent lets that through, and we come into Dragonite. Now I'm thinking the opponent, they might be in Brave Bird, but can I really shield this move? Probably not. So we come in here, we've got rid of the Razor Leafer, and I was sort of expecting it to be double Razor Leaf. In comes Togetic, and the opponent comes into a Samurott. So I end up throwing this off in bad timing, a little bit of frame drops, and by the looks of thing, 1 Mud Bomb does about 45% to the Samurott, so this thing definitely not very bulky. Icy Wind, I thought they might have went for a Surf or something there, so I decided if the opponent is on Aurelius, this will probably hurt more than Aurelius. I might as well shield up the moves from Samurott. Then I was thinking, like, if they do have Dazzling Gleam, I sort of need to save a shield for it, and the opponent's most likely going to keep debuffing me here. So what I do, because the opponent misaligned the timer, I'll get off this move, go into Dragonite, get the last farm down. I clear the debuff, my attack has been dropped twice there, can't really stay in because the Scald will do nothing. I go for Superpower, the opponent's going to commit to the farm down, so I want to debuff myself and make it a little bit easier for them to farm me down. And we get them into a very low range, and I just basically have to make a call here that the opponent's not going to go straight for Dazzling Gleam. The opponent goes for Aurelius, they go straight for another one, and I basically just need to outpace. I also need to hope that Scald is enough This Pokemon is actually quite bulky. They go for an Ancient Power, I'm assuming to try and basically buff their defense. Probably quite a smart play by the opponent, but good games. I actually was quite surprised that the Skull took out from there, and let's hop into the next battle. We do have a double lead. By the way, these matches are ripped off the stream, so they may be a little bit laggy and stuff like that. I decided to go straight for the Body Slam. The opponent went up to back-to-back Body Slams, which would be enough for like a Wild Charge. I decided I'm going to CMP this move. If they go for Wild Charge, they'll have to shield this, because as you can see, that does quite a lot of damage. Now in comes Dragonite. I go for a Greedy Crunch. The reason this is greedy is because it does the exact same amount of damage as a Body Slam, but it costs more energy. Very fortunately, we get off both of these moves here, and we get the debuff, so that's kind of huge, right? The opponent will definitely be able to get a shield off me, but at this point, guys, we can come in with Dragonite. You're going to see that these Dragon Breaths are absolutely chunking this thing. Those 4 Dragon Breaths completely ripped it to shreds, and we should be able to farm this the whole way down. Back in comes the double, store to move. I'm going to do 2 Dragon Breaths, throw off the move, and I think I'll look to catch the third Body Slam on the Whiscash. The opponent is getting quite low here, so they're in a very manageable range. I can more or less Dragon Breath this the whole way down, but I cannot eat a Body Slam, and I think that the opponent might be a little bit weak to Dragonite in the back. Body Slam coming in, and the opponent comes into a Victory Bell. We do thankfully get off this move. This is absolutely huge, because this is neutral. Mud Bombs are neutral on the Victory Bell, and as you can see, it's done about 70%. I'm going to go straight for this move. The opponent dumped all of their energy in double, and they basically are just farm down range, so good games well played. You're just seeing here that Dragonite is just out damaging things, and it's a lot of fun to use here. In the next battle, we have another Togetic lead. Again, very negative, so we have to swap out. What I decided to do on this occasion is actually just build up extra energy, because I kind of need to take switch advantage, and last time I seen this lead, it was a Decidueye in the back. So I'm going to build up and build up. The opponent goes for a Body Slam catch, and that puts us in quite an interesting position here. We're definitely well within position to take switch advantage. The opponent's on Leafage as well, so they are getting off a lot of damage, and they can potentially fight for swap if they want to. Perhaps if they go for Spirit Shackle debuffs. I decided, okay, we're going to have to try and shield here, right? I can't let my Dragonite just sit on that thing. I'm going to go for a Crunch. I think the opponent probably realizes I'm about to outspam them, and at this point we basically need to hope there's something in the back that is a little bit better for a Dragonite than the other thing. They come into the Togetic, we're going to go straight for the Body Slam. The opponent just about outpaces us there somehow. I'm not too sure how they would have done, but that it is what it is, I guess. I think I got a one-turn swap or something whenever they took me out, which I'm not sure if that's supposed to happen. They come into Kyogre. I decided not to throw a move here. I'm just going to farm this the whole way down, and even if possible, get some extra energy on Whiscash. This energy is useless against the Togetic, so I've no need to throw it and give them any extra farm. We're going to go for the Scald, which as you seen last time, done, you know, around 40-50%, whatever. One more Scald should roughly get it done here. Now, the opponent's on Steel Wing on this occasion, so it means that they're doing a lot less damage. The opponent just no-bubbles it. I think they realize it's basically over. I'm assuming they're an Ancient Power, and of course I'm going to start getting debuffs and all that kind of stuff. The opponent probably realized, like, if I no-shield that move, it's pretty much game over, and good games to the opponent. So hopping on into the next battle, we have another pretty decent lead. We have Whiscash. Again, if they stay in, I like to throw the move immediately. They come into a Charge Bug. I've had this a few times. I like to go for the catch on the Whiscash. Now, what I realized is, from this range with those Dragon Breaths, one Scald is not enough to KO. I can Scald and farm down potentially, but that would actually allow them to get to 2 more X-Scissors and take out the Whiscash. As you can see, Charge Bug does very well here. We're just going to go for 2 Mud Bombs here, and hopefully the opponent doesn't shield. I'm happy enough just to keep alignment, but if the opponent does shield, honestly I'm pretty happy with it. I can probably just come in, farm it down, and look to get off energy on something that's hopefully not a Charmer. And the opponent comes into Annihilate. I do actually get off the Scald, which is pretty huge here. Hopefully we can apply heavy damage or debuff. We do get the heavy damage through. The opponent lets that through, and this is more or less curtains for them. If they let this through, it's Greedent and Dragonite versus Whiscash, which is never going to be that great. I'm going to shield up this move, and I can pretty much just come into the farm down. Night Slash coming in, and yeah, the opponent swaps out, and I think they realize, like, what am I doing here? I've got a Whiscash against a Dragonite, it's probably not going to happen, and the opponent, in the next game, with their Magikarp hat, is running Stinky McBinky McFlinkerbinker in the lead. They completely wall my Greedent. This is like the biggest core breaker for this team, low-key. I can't stay in, and they come into a Slowbro, so this is quite interesting, actually. They pace quite slowly to the moves. Confusion quite good for fast move pressure, and we actually get the debuff as well. Now, I decide here, okay, I'm going to shield up this move. We're fighting for swap, right? We can't allow the Carbink to get on our Dragonite. If that happens, it's game over. We're going to go for Crunch here. The opponent will actually let that move go because they got the debuff. And at this point, because we've double debuffed them, even a single debuff, we can go straight Body Slam here. I am definitely not letting this go without a fight. I'm 100% fighting for alignment here. We badly need our Whiscash on the Carbink, very dominant matchup, and we basically need to put Dragonite on something that's not Carbink in the back. I got all the opponent's shields so we can get this Body Slam through, and the Carbink should get pretty minimal farm here. We do get off a last second Body Slam. Any little bit of chip you can get on this Pokemon is always quite valuable, and this should be more or less in like Scald farm down range from this point. The opponent will go for a Moonblast, it will chunk, does a decent amount of damage, and they come into a Slowking. They're running double slows, which is quite an interesting and spicy team. It's kind of bad whenever you're saying that Carbink is spicy, but if you really think about it, it kind of is spicy now, with Whiscash and Skarmory being so dominant. Both of those Pokemon just absolutely destroy Carbink. So Carbink has been pretty much forced out of the meta with the last move update, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing, by the way. Carbink has the potential just to completely ruin the Great League, so having some great answers to it in the meta is definitely a great thing. I just hope that Scald gets a little toned down next season. The opponent here is going to go for this Icy Wind. The opponent's on Mudshot, and we do end up farming them the whole way down. Back in comes the Mantine. By the way, this team is ABA weak to Electric. Just going to throw that out there. The opponent surprisingly shields that. I was double debuffed. They definitely did not have to shield that. Now, for some reason, I go for a Crunch here. This is a little bit greedy. I was expecting the opponent to go for a Catch. I was anticipating Flyer, double Fighter in the back. I was just going for the Crunch, so the opponent does not catch a Body Slam. However, it is not Annihilate, and we're actually up a Body Slam here. It is with Steady Cash. And up this amount of energy, like, Gradient is so deadly. You're going to see here that, of course, yes, they'll get off their Scald. Oh yeah, they're going to go for the debuff. In that situation, you know, the smarter play is to go for double Mud Bomb. An opponent I faced later on actually realised that and went for that instead. We decided to bank a Body Slam and basically come into our own Whiscash at this point. If I can save that Body Slam, Dragonite should be able to take care of the Whiscash. We're basically guaranteeing to get the shield. And my Whiscash almost always wins CMP. I've got an extremely cracked Whiscash right here. I want you guys to have a look at your Whiscashes that you've caught. If you can get a high defense, low HP, it's a really, really good Whiscash. You win CMP, you get some break points, and you get some bulk points as well. And the HP stat is not that relevant. Whiscash already has a high HP, so if you can bolster that defense and attack, it's really good for this Pokemon. Now, the opponent fires a move. The Whiscash in the back was getting extremely low. They may get to a move, but we have a Body Slam banked, so we just take that out. And we're not going to try and Mudshot it down with Gradient. That's not going to be the best play. And good games to the opponent. So here it is once again, folks. We have Whis Daddy Cash in the lead. They're going to come into Wigglytuff. Okay. Quite an interesting safe swap. So at this point, I was like, okay, I just lose. If they're safe swapping this, it has to be Ninetales. It just has to be. I was thinking if it's not Ninetales, it's probably Victory Bell. This was kind of looking tricky, and the opponent shields up the first move here because, of course, you got to get the debuff, guys. The Great League is so ridiculous, man. It really is. Last week, you know, the cup was pretty boring in terms of, like, there's a Vigoroth in every team, and there's only, like, 7 Pokemon that are good in the cup. The one thing I did really enjoy about that playstyle was, it's not all about the debuffs, it's not all about holding the alignment, shielding a 1 HP Whiscash to get alignment. Last week's meta was more energy management, getting a farm down, getting energy lead, getting a shield advantage. I really just much more enjoy the playstyle. I think Ultra League is a lot more like that, and that's why I think for the rest of the season, for the final week when we have Great League, Master League, and Ultra, I am definitely playing Ultra League. I just don't think the Great League is particularly skillful. I do think there are some mechanics that you can take advantage of and try to do better than your opponents, but in general, it seems just so RPS and debuff heavy. I think I'll definitely just hop into Ultra League. So if you guys have any teams and stuff you want to send in for Great League next week, I've actually got free battle submissions for Ultra League already, so I won't be taking any more Ultra League ones. Or if you guys have any battle submissions this week for Catch Cup, please do send them in. Link in the description down below. But anyway, I think we farm the thing down, and in comes the Annihilate here. We're basically getting up to back-to-back Dragon Claws. I think that was a CMP tie, if I'm not mistaken, or it's just about not. Okay, we actually CMP at the second move, so this is absolutely huge here. What was looking kind of tricky with that Wigglytuff safe swap, we do manage to take the match, and yeah, good games there. Of course, let me know your thoughts and opinions on the Great League and last week's Cup. I would definitely prefer metas that are a bit more varied, right? Like Evolution Cup and things like Fantasy Great League, very, very limited. I do certainly prefer more sort of open metas with, you know, a little bit more variety, of course, but I generally detest RPS metas, which is basically what the Great League is, and if I detest that, I absolutely hate debuffs. I think debuffs are just some of the most cheesiest things to, like, just absolutely get a free win that you shouldn't have got. I do prefer more sort of competitive matches, as opposed to just, you know, hoping to get the debuff. It's like, if you don't get it 3 times in a row, when you probably should be getting it 50% of the time, it's just super, super bad, and if the opponent's getting it every time, it literally is a coin flip. You might as well just flip a coin. Whenever I'm playing a game like Go Battle League, where, you know, you have a lot of things to learn, right? Move timing, move counts, you have to go for catches, you have to keep counting, you have to do everything right. There's a lot of skill in this game, but whenever it all boils down to, like, who flips the coin correctly, I am not a huge fan of that personally. Anyway guys, do let me know your thoughts and opinions on the Catch Cup, the Great League, and all that kind of stuff in the comments down below. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. By the looks of things, we've got a bit of an RPS victory. Even though I'm making a big mistake here, I shouldn't really shield that move. However, I do have a lot of energy here, so I do free and throw. Actually, I think I done 2 and throw, like an absolute potato, giving the opponent an extra counter for free, and we do get the CMP tie. That's absolutely huge. If I didn't get the CMP tie here, I was basically screwed, because the opponent would be able to outpace. But I think my Whiscash is only 4 off the move, and they can only be 5 away from the move, so if they got the extra counter, they basically win that match. Good games there. I'm very, very fortunate, to be honest with you guys, and we'll definitely take that win. I started off today's stream on 2942, and I believe I ended up at plus 70, so I'll definitely take that. Very, very happy with that climb today, and hopefully this team works out well for you if you have these Pokemon. Thank you very much, everybody. Once again, big shout out to Daryl, Boston, and everybody who's been donating on the streams, gifting memberships. You guys are amazing, and everybody who watches the videos comments. I don't always reply to every comment, but I do usually heart them, and I do read everything and take everything into consideration. So thank you very much, everybody, for all the support on the channel. Much appreciated. Hope you'll have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another stream. And if I come up with a different team that works well, I'll post that on here as well.